Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Appalachia Bigfoot Explorer. Um, it's been a minute since I've been out here. Um, I've got a great person coming on tonight. Somebody that I've been very fortunate enough to have with me. Um, Something just happened there for a second. Sorry. God, I'm getting feedback already. There, it's gone. Sorry, guys. Anyways, I've been very fortunate enough to be out with this individual. Um, had a great outing with him, and I've been on a couple podcasts with her, uh, and her co-host on their show, Spencer. So, but I've always wanted to dig in and see what her perspective was on certain things and how she looks at things when she goes out. So, anyways, we're gonna get this started. So, yeah, hang in there, and this should be fun. Misty! Squirrel! God love her. What's happening? What's going on, lady?
Oh, nothing. Running late as usual. So what have you been into?
I've been working I've been working my butt off, and for some reason, I don't know why right now, um, I've got major feedback going on in my mic or in my headphones,
You're freezing up a little
and I
bit.
have no idea why. I've got everything shut down. I've got nothing. I don't know. It was weird because when we were talking before we went live, I had like everything wiped. Yeah, everything wiped out on me. So, am I freezing up on you?
A little bit, but you sound okay. Your sound sounds
Yeah.
good. You don't seem like you're echoing.
Yeah, something's up. Something's going on.
They're
And
watching
I'm
us.
I'm not yeah, already right off the rip. Right off the rip.
That
And
figures.
yeah. Um I'm not understanding what the hell's going on. It's so weird. So, anyways, um anyways, let's get this started. I want to dive in to what your thoughts are on this. Um I know you've went so let's just start here. When did you actually get into doing this?
Well, it's Sherry's fault, really. Probably about 2 years ago, I guess. But it's like once I had my first what I think was an interaction. I've been hooked ever since, and that's what I was telling you backstage. It turns into, I won't say obsession, but if you really get into it, it's daily almost that you go into researching or reading or a different rabbit hole every day almost. Just trying to figure stuff out. But I've been into supernatural and paranormal for God, since I was a kid, just because of all the weird crap that's happened.
Yeah. Yeah. So have you like had a like any type of sighting or anything like that yet?
I've never seen one. No, when we were camping, I'm telling you, I would have swore something big other than a bear walked up behind my tent. But now that was the most scared I've ever been. I was terrified. I was not getting up and looking out. I expected to see a shadow come up behind my tent, like, any second. So
Right.
that was the most scared I've ever been. I've been bluff charged and surrounded twice, but no, as far as just physically seeing one, I haven't. But I want to, but I'm also scared at the same time. I'm scared it's going to ruin, me being out in the woods, because I mushroom hunt, fish, all that booger. I don't want that to ruin it for me. So
I don't think it would. I honestly, I mean, everybody's different. I've told my story in the past, so everybody's encounter is different. But you're a very headstrong person, so I think you'd be okay. And then with your background and what you guys do with hunting and just being outdoors all the time, and I think you'd be able to handle it really, really well, honestly. Um, but so your area and where you guys are at, kind of like walk me through or walk us through, like what your research area looks like, and like I don't know how to, like, have you guys determined yet or have found, like, if there's more than one in that area?
well, we've seen multiple sizes of tracks together. You know what I mean? Like bigger and smaller, wider, more narrow. But as far as like actually seeing any, no. I mean, I can't tell you, yeah, there's several different ones, or that there's even any, because like I said, I've not seen them, but I know we do hear some weird stuff. And some of them you can almost tell by the sound that they make. They almost sound female or male whenever they make calls back to you. I know that sounds silly, but it's like you can almost distinguish the sex of whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about there, and I I had done, I do my videos in the morning, and I kind of talked a little bit this morning, kind of almost about that, like, you know, I was getting into like what the alpha about the alpha, and one thing and it's funny you mentioned sound, so I'll go ahead and let everybody know now that that's kind of what turned me in thinking that, at least up here, that the alphas are more the female than the males. And the reason I say that is because a lot of our interactions vocal wise that we've gotten up here have been more of what you would contribute being a female versus a male. And they were the more dominant, abrupt sounds of like letting you know it's time to leave, it's time to go. So when you get those sounds, when you get those kind of, and everybody knows those sounds where it's like, oh no, it's time to leave. Or is it more of a what you would think a female would be?
Well, it's funny you say that, because I wonder if you're getting more females because you guys are male. Most of our group is female researchers, other than two of us. And only one of them goes out with us ever so often. But when we're out, we seem to get more of what seems to be male calls.
Okay.
We do get female calls, but we mostly get male calls. And a lot of times it'll be, maybe me and Sherry, or me, Sherry, Donna, and Caitlin, or, my daughter Layla that goes, and Hunter may not go. And it'll be just all females out that night.
I got you. Okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Now, when you guys go out into your area, is it like you go out for the evening and you come back, or do you guys stay out there all night and camp, or how do you do it?
Both ways. I mean, we do camp some and do it, but most of the time we just go. little bit later of the evening and build a fire, sit around and talk, and then just hang out till about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and head home when it's daylight.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Now, when I've seen pictures, you've sent me pictures of structures in your area. I have found, what I feel are very interesting pictures that you've sent. And you've kind of described the area for me, or where they're at. How big, how vast is this area that you're talking?
Well, we go several different places, just right around our house within usually like an hour. But we've got one place that we go right around the house that's 10 minutes away, or 15 at the most. And that's actually where I had got the face in the trees that was watching me and my sister. Yeah,
really?
it's really, really close to the house.
Really?
But the land around here is different. I'm in a valley, but when we go up to the mountains, it's really, really hilly, straight up, straight down. You get some flat spots, but it's thick laurel, kudzu vines, through midsummer. I mean, you're really fighting to get through there.
Yeah.
In the valley is a bunch of rivers and just lakes, all kinds of stuff that just, come together.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
So you've got it all. I mean,
I've got it. I live 5 minutes from 2 rivers that split off of each other from the lake.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, that's a perfect setting for them. Now, going back, you said that you saw a face in the trees. Was you able to like pull out like the actual features, or how did that happen?
Well, when it's weird because I always go through my pictures. Like I take random pictures when we're out, just like 360 views, and then I go back through them later. And if I see something that like stands out, far off a dark spot or something like that, I will zoom in and check it. And I try to go over every picture the best I can. And I done a Google Lens search on, it was 300 and something feet away from me and my sister. And the first thing that popped up was a picture of the Patty, the Patterson Gimlin picture as a comparison. I don't know. That was just,
really?
It sure did. Yeah. I was as shocked as you are.
Really?
Yeah. And we went back later and actually checked the spot out. We used the exact same camera. Me and my sister, I took the picture. We all stepped it off. Me, Hunter, Caitlin, and Sherry. He climbed up a tree, bless his heart, to try to mark, the distance. And we looked through the phone and laid it all out. And it was, I forget exactly what it was, but it was 300 something foot from where we were when I took the picture to where it was looking in the tree. And depending on if it was standing in the flat part, it was a wide trunk, but it had a flat spot and 2 big trees that came out of it. And it was standing behind that, or it looked to be, whatever it was. And when we measured it, depending on the height from it being on the ground to standing in that, it went anywhere from, I think, almost right at 10 foot to 12 foot, because it was a 2 foot difference from the trunk. But the gap that was at the top of the tree, Sherry's got all this stuff wrote down. But the gap of the tree, it was as wide as 2 people at the top, and it filled that whole section in. So
no kidding.
No kidding. He climbed up the tree with a sweatshirt on a stick, and we measured it all out after we found, the right height.
No, that's friggin' badass. And that's what I'm talking about right there, people. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Doing the damn diligence. Going back step by step. Yeah, everything that you just said. Everything she just said, people, that is research right there. That is what research is about. And kudos to you and Sherry and all of them, because
Thank you.
we're struggling in that part of it, of actual research and people doing actual research. So yeah, I'm thrilled to death to hear that you guys do that.
Well,
That's
we
just
got
freaking
it from you
awesome.
guys.
That's
So,
awesome.
I
Now,
mean, we actually have to thank you all for that
no, you
because
didn't. No,
yes,
no, you
y'all taught us a
no, you
lot of
didn't.
stuff. You sure did. But
But no,
yeah,
that's awesome. Now is this an area that you guys frequent quite a bit?
no, it was weird because that's what's so strange about how we caught the picture. When we went, this was actually a place that Hunter said he used to go coon hunt some. So we went in, and I'm telling you, you won't go in this place without knee boots on, and you still ain't going to go everywhere. It's swampy marshland. I mean, like you wouldn't believe, and it stays that way all year round. And the lake connects to it, so it's got separate little like rivers that run through all of the land. Um, there was no sign of nobody even being there. No feet print in the mud, no anything. And then when we finally crossed where we could actually get up on some flat land and got further back in there, more towards the lake, we started seeing some tracks, or what looked like tracks, but we never found any structure or anything like that. This was the very first time we had been here, and it's almost like whatever was looking at us was just as surprised to see us there as we were to find something in that picture. Because when we went back to do research, we actually found a tree stand somebody had abandoned, and there was signs everywhere. So, and they were close to the tree stand,
Oh yeah, so around the tree stand
around where
were
humans had been.
what we
Yes.
would consider, signs of what they leave.
Yep.
Interesting, interesting. So I wonder how long that tree stand had been there.
It looked
I
new, and it was about 2 weeks out of deer season. It was almost
really.
like somebody just left it. And yeah. Yeah, makes me wonder if they didn't see something that ran them out of there. For
Right,
sure.
right. Yeah, I'm done.
New jack straps, new ladder stand, everything. It was all just left, and deer season had been over a few weeks.
Wow, that's interesting. That is interesting. So that would be an area that I would, yeah, I would definitely concentrate on that. So, but so let's get to them themselves. The subject at hand, and where are you at with what you believe or what you think these creatures
Oh
are?
man, I don't know, Eric. I mean, and I know they say people should have some kind of idea, but I don't. You know, I used to think it was all a bunch of bullcrap, just to be honest. I mean, you see them in movies or whatever, but nobody, or, a stuffed animal, nobody really talked about Bigfoot, nobody that I was around. And until Sherry got me into this and I started really seeing what was going on, and I started out thinking, oh, well, they probably are some kind of just physical something, which, she obviously, her opinion on it, she feels different. But the more and more that I read and listen to people's stories, and I mean, credible people that we actually believe that, is telling us the truth. How can you not believe in something like that, whether you've seen it or not?
Mhm.
And I don't know what it is. I mean, it seems like it eats, it has children, but how does it know the things that it knows? Just like, I'm not going to say mind speak, because I don't know. I mean, I'm so blown away by everything they can do that I have no opinion on what I really think they are at this point. I mean, I
And that's
think they
good.
have some kind of supernatural ability, whether or not it's Nephilim or just abilities. But
Right.
I don't know.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's It's great though that you're open for everything, and not to set yourself on one thing, because I was like that. I was so closed-minded on everything, and it's really a shame now being where I am now and looking back on how closed-minded I was. And even when after my sighting, and then at that point I realized, no, somewhere along the lines there's we share something together. even then even then the mind speak and the different things that people would talk about, I was like, no, flesh and blood, that's it. But the more I got into it, the more I started researching, the more I started really opening my mind, but opening myself to hear other people talk. And you can't not listen when there's so many stories out there and so many people are talking about the same damn thing over and over and over and seeing certain things over and over and over. Eventually you have to start paying attention, you have to start listening. So just to say though that you don't know, saying I don't know is a great thing, is a really good thing, because that means that you are open. You're open to everything. You're open to listening to everything, and not just putting it all on one thing. You know what I mean? And that's awesome.
There's so many
That
good things that's went along with it that I've seen just in what we do, when we go out. It can't be just flesh and blood. I mean, if it is, then there's supernatural stuff that follows it around, is all I know, because there's too much weirdness that goes on with it.
yeah, yeah. I agree. I have to agree now because I've witnessed it now. I've witnessed it, so there's no turning back at all. So when you're out and you're out doing what you guys do, tell me what Misty is feeling when you're out there. What kind of senses are heightened in you, if any at all? Where are you at in your mind when you're out there?
Well, it depends. If there's nothing around, it just feels like I'm just hanging out in the woods, just normal. But it's almost like the minute something comes up, or I feel like something's watching me, it's weird. My skin will tighten really tight, like from head to toe. Like I'll get cold chills, but it's a different feeling. It's almost like my skin starts crawling.
Hmm.
And so that actually
But do
happened
you
to
do
me.
you get like feared, or
It
is it
depends.
yeah.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes, no, I'll know there's something around, but it doesn't feel like it's, like scary or just curious. Mostly is kind of what it
Mhm.
feels like. But
Yeah.
now
Now
there's been a few times, yeah, like at LBL, me and Mark one time, we were walking down the road, and we both, it was a scary feeling, and you knew you were being watched, and not in a good way. And if you were alone, it could be bad.
yeah. Now, do you contribute that though to, and we're gonna get into your past, my past, whatever, but do you contribute that though to growing up and using adapting senses that most people don't really use at all? But when you're raised a certain way or in a certain environment, you learn to adapt and adjust and use different senses of awareness. Do you think that contributes to how you do things and how you feel things when you're out there?
Um, well, yeah, I mean, definitely, because anybody that's seen stuff from the time they were little has something special going on with them, whether they know it or even want to admit it or not.
Yeah.
And a lot of people still can do stuff like that, like you can heighten your senses just by, doing certain exercises, mind exercises, and, just certain thing, body cleanses. And everybody at one time had we've all got a third eye. Or is it open or is it closed? I mean, that's just, mine's not as good, I don't think, now as when I was younger, as far as I tried to just block everything out because I didn't want to deal with any of that. It was scary seeing some of the stuff that I've seen as a kid. And a lot of people in our family can do it. I mean, like, as far as, I'm not saying I'm psychic or nothing like that. Y'all don't even think anything like that. It's just feelings that we get and like deja vu almost sometimes in dreams. I don't really know how to explain all of it, but
right.
It's Sherry, she gets feelings like that. And when you get people together that actually have heightened senses, it makes your senses stronger.
Yeah.
Y'all kind of feed off each other, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. And I can contest to that too. I've been out with certain individuals that actually do what you were talking about, and they'll meditate before they'll even go out, and they'll cleanse themselves, and they'll prepare their minds, in certain ways before they go out, and you can feed off of that if you're really thinking and being there with them in the moment and feeling the moment. You can feel that energy, so you can feel the energy around you as well. And so, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Now, so what are you looking to get out of this? This is one question that I've always been wanting to ask you, because we've talked a lot, and really, a lot of people don't know, but guys, Misty does a lot of side research on a lot of stuff, and she reads a lot, and I've been able to have one-on-ones with you. And where are you wanting to go with this?
I just want to know for myself. You know what I mean? I could care less about trying to prove anything to anybody. Y'all, you wouldn't believe it, but I did not even want to do a Facebook page whenever Sherry wanted to start the group. She's researched for years and years, but I didn't want no part of it. I mean, I wanted to just be on the back burner and just learn for myself. I didn't want to get out and do podcasts. I didn't want to do a Facebook page. I got really mad when she wanted me to do a little video for the Facebook. So I could care less about trying to prove anything to anybody. It's for me and my family, so we know what's out there. When you're in the woods, you need to be really safe because you don't know.
Right. Yeah.
And I just the thought of something that big that can just get away, just out of nowhere, they're just gone, and prove it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, really prove it. Nobody has yet. Right. I just want to know.
Yeah. And I think that's what feeds a lot of us. Just the needing to know, even with a sighting, even with a full-blown sighting, that's not enough. It's like I need to know, because after you have a sighting, then it's something else. I need to know this. Then I need to know this, and it just goes and goes and goes, and it doesn't stop. I mean, it just we talked earlier. It consumes you.
Yeah,
it truly does. So, but where are you going back? I mean, do you believe that they are from the Nephilim, from the giants? Is it?
I think so. Some, yes, but I don't. I mean, you don't even want me to go down this rabbit hole. I'm telling you.
Go. We'll hold hands and jump together. Come on.
Mean, it's like I do, but at the same time, is it another species that's just undiscovered? That's just more. I'm not going to say an ape, but like way more, how do I put this? Like, I guess more sophisticated than we are, you know, almost like intelligent on a totally different level.
Mm-hmm.
To where they do. Okay, for instance, let me use this for an instance. I was watching a video earlier on Star Children. Anybody that knows anything about them, they've got special abilities and, you know, all that.
Mm-hmm.
Humans, you know, that can actually set and catch stuff on fire with their mind or whatever. Something kind of like that. You know, are they just an animal that's, you know, just way more advanced than we are, and that's why they're so good at staying away from us? Or are they Nephilim? Or are they watchers, you know, maybe sent to kind of keep an eye on everything? I don't know. I mean, I really don't, because I've got so many different theories on it. We would be here for hours.
No, that's yeah. I've always wanted to ask you that. I've always, you know, because like I said, we've talked, you know, and now where I am, and that's where I'm at with it, you know, and so yeah, that's something that I don't think I've ever really truly asked you, you know, what your thoughts are on them, or where they actually originate from.
I don't
You
think
know,
they were like government created
yeah,
or just, you know, some kind of just basic ape at all.
right. Um, so kind of switching gears a little bit, because this doesn't have to be all about Bigfoot and all that jazz or anything like that, but have you ever ran into anything out there where you thought paranormal?
Yeah. Excuse me. Actually, at Daniel Boone, when, you know, when we were there, it was really weird because Kane, Mark, and I had walked down the road. I think it was probably the second night. You guys were all still sitting around the campfire talking, and we walked down to the left, and we got to going down through there, and it was really strange. It got cloudy, like foggy, just out of nowhere. No campfire smoke, no nothing like that. And you just kind of had this feeling come over you. And so we're just walking around, and I don't know how Kane, he didn't really say a whole lot. He was just kind of looking through the thermal, but I don't know how he felt about it. But, you know, Mark was like, he felt kind of uneasy. But you didn't feel threatened or anything. And it's a totally different feeling. If any of you guys ever feel anything like this, you know, you may not know exactly what it is, but you know, you get different feelings about different things that are around.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been around so much paranormal that I could tell by the feeling of, you know, what was going on. Didn't feel like no kind of Sasquatch or anything like that, or anything that was evil. It just felt like something new that I knew it was there. So I just kind of walked off from everybody and just got to talking to, you know, whatever was there, and told it that I knew that it was there, and it wasn't allowed to follow us or, you know, do anything to any of us, or, you know, attach itself in any way, that it had to stay where it was at. And the fog started lifting as we was walking out, and it was really strange. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're pretty comfortable in that setting, though. I mean, you know how to deal with it. You've dealt with it like for many years, so you're pretty comfortable in that setting. Now, I know when we were there, we also went up into the cemetery, and you and Debbie, I believe, right, were ahead of us. You guys were, and you guys kind of had some stuff happen up there, didn't you?
We did. And what was so strange about that is Mark and Rebecca Green were there also. And they stayed down at the very entrance of the cemetery. And I think it was you, Mark, and Larry maybe standing about midways. And me and Debbie walked up to the very top. Well, when we get up here, we're kind of, we've got the spirit box. Actually, we kick it on. This is after, we're kind of getting ready to leave and whatever, but everybody's still being really quiet. So I come get Debbie and we walk up and I kick this spirit box on and we're talking and telling it that, it can speak through it and that, tell us what it wants to. And we just get to asking some questions. Well, the spirit box just pretty much gets in the way. So we turn it off and then just kind of get to talking to it and letting it know that if it can speak, we can hear it. Well, without the box, just come close enough to talk. And sure enough, it never fails. We heard, me and her both, what sounded like a female and like moaning a couple of different times actually, and we got a whiff of what smelled like, to me it smelled like vanilla and cigars, and that was
that's right,
up at the very top after we got a couple of whispers, like, kind of like, and you could tell it was female. This is the strange thing. Okay, so like, we're feeling like there's something there, and we get all that, and then we come down and tell you guys about it, right? Well, Mark and Rebecca has no idea. They're still down at the bottom. Later on, we find out, before anything's even mentioned, Rebecca sees a little girl standing up at the top of the hill. Oh yeah.
I missed that. I missed that part of.
Yep.
Really?
Sure did. And this is, like I said, before she even knew anything. Nobody had said anything to her. And she told Mark, she said, there's a little girl standing up there where they're at. My friend Crystal, she knew, I told her about the trip. I don't never give her any kind of information about anything. But she picked up on, she said what she thought was a young girl in about a knee-length dress. I've got it wrote down in my book somewhere. I think she said like sandy blondish colored, like straight stringy hair. Said she was sickly looking, like scrawny. Said she was probably, I think, like 8 to 10, something like that. And she said she also picked up on an older man that was dressed really nice, like a brownish colored suit, older guy, kind of buttoned down vest. And she said that he was smoking a cigar and that she thought he had passed away from lung cancer. She said she couldn't tell what she even gave me names. When I go back, I'm wanting to go check this place out again and see if, but Rebecca said the same thing. She said she thought the little girl, if I'm not mistaken, was real young. She said like 6-7 year old. So, I mean, they were off a little bit by age, but Crystal said she looked really sickly. So, she may have just been small for her age, but yeah, they described the exact same thing. Now,
wow,
my friend lives in Mexico. I just talked to this girl on the phone, not, you know what I mean? It's not like we're next door neighbors. It's strange, Rebecca and I on this last trip, when we get together, it's the same way. We both pick up on stuff and we don't have to say anything to each other. And we're never around each other. We're just conversate when we can, but it's the same thing I was getting at. When you're around somebody that picks up on that type of stuff, it makes your senses stronger. And we picked up on a couple different things at Greg's property that he hadn't even said anything about yet. And when we get back up there and he gets to telling us about it, we're pointing out where we had turned around and walked off and was checking out. And it was just a weird feeling driving in. And I'm looking at this spot, and then, Rebecca's sitting in the back seat, and I turn around and look at her. And when I look at her, she's looking at the exact same thing I'm looking at, and her eyes are huge. And I said, "What are you feeling, Rebecca?" And she was like, "The exact same thing you are." She said, "That right there," she said, "that is a creepy, creepy spot." And I said, "You daggone right it is." Well, we get back, Greg tells us about the place that's back there that he won't even go into. He said, "I won't even walk back in there."
Oh, really?
So, yeah, it's weird.
There's a bit of information that I'd love to have prior to.
Yep.
God love him. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. Oh no, we didn't, because I mean, you felt like you didn't want to go in there.
Right. I have been actually. Have you met Cheryl Corntassel?
I have not.
There was a spot. Um, we were down in Georgia, I think. There was a spot we were actually dropping down into a holler, and we both stopped, and we were a good God, we were a good 110 yards parallel to each other, and we both not conversating or nothing, and we both stopped at the exact same time, damn near. Both of us looking down into this, just it was what I could describe of what I was feeling was complete darkness. And I remember looking over at Cheryl, and Cheryl is just standing there, and he's just staring. And I look over at him, and I just start walking towards him. He turns around, he starts walking towards me, and we get maybe 20 feet from each other, and he went, "Nope." I was like, so glad you said that, buddy. Because, ain't going in. So, not doing it. But there's places like that. There's places like that all over the world that just hold something in them, whether it's an energy, whatever it is. But you get this feeling of just, I don't know if it's evil. I don't know if I'd say evil, but it's just darkness. It's just dark. It's a dark place, you know, and you know it when you come up on it. So going back to Greg's, how long were you guys there?
Spencer stayed 2 days, and me and Mark stayed for 3 days. The third night no, wait a minute, hold on. It was the second night, I guess, that we were there, is when we had something happen every night. At least some kind of noise or tree knocks or whatever. And sometimes I felt fine sitting out on the back deck by myself, and then all of a sudden, sometimes I would get just like, okay, there's something really, really close. And just like with the tree knocks, I told Mark whenever Spencer and Greg were going to the store, and we kicked the light off on the back porch and just sat out on the deck, just in the dark, just, hoping something would happen. We had recorders out, and Mark's like, "I'm going to run to the restroom." And I was like, "Don't you leave me alone." I said, "I know exactly what's going to happen as soon as you walk off. It never fails. When I'm by myself, crap starts getting weird." So hurry up, do your business, and let's go. So he goes in, and by the recorder, it's almost exactly a minute, but about 30 seconds after he goes in, I can feel like I'm being watched, and it starts getting weird. And so I'm sitting there, and I've got my flashlight and my gun laying on the table in front of me, and I'm just kind of peeking around, and I'm like, man, gosh, because it was really dark over to the right side. And Greg has done told me the horror stories about how this thing walks up and hides behind the gas tank thing out there. So I was like, this may get scary. So I had a light over here, like a street light he had up, and then complete darkness out in front of me with like a big like ledge that went down to the river. Minute after he goes in, bam. And I'm like, you can hear me talking to myself on the recorder, and I'm like, no effing way. Are you kidding me? And then bam. And I was like, there's the second one. And I was like, I forget what all I said. And then you can hear the third one. And I sat there for a few more seconds, and I'm like, I got to go get Mark. You can hear me walking up. I'm like, Mark, there's something out here knocking. I'm like, it's about 100 and so yards, straight in front of me. But the scary thing about it when you're doing something like that is it knew I was alone. There hadn't been a sound, hadn't been a weird feeling, nothing. As soon as he goes in, 30 seconds or so, I'm feeling like I'm being watched. And within a minute, I'm getting tree knocks.
Mm-hmm.
And it's straight in front of me. You know,
Well,
that's scary.
yeah. So we actually, you've sent me the knocks, so I've got them. Guys listening, guys and gals out there listening, I'm gonna go ahead and play this. Turn up your volume, put a headset on, whatever. But I'm gonna try this without screwing it up. So let's see what happens here. They were like right in a row, right? Pretty much.
With the gap in between them, yeah.
Yeah.
Like maybe a second or two.
Let me go back. Let's go back because the first one is like almost immediate, right?
Yeah.
And then there's a
Yeah,
little gap.
Mark edited this for me, so he cut it down real small. So yeah, it's instantaneously almost.
Yeah. So let's try it again. That one there is, yeah, that's the, I want your attention.
I'm gonna tell you, the cicadas or crickets were so daggum loud. I mean, I was surprised it even picked it up, but these were 3 of the prettiest tree knocks I've ever heard in my life. I mean, they were perfect, so solid sounding and consistent. They all 3 sounded identical.
Yeah. That, and the third one is what got me. You're right. All 3 of them are crisp, but that third one, that third one is I want you to pay attention. I
Yeah,
want you to,
yeah, no kid.
you know,
that's the way I felt, and I was like, I got to go see where Mark's at.
Now, what night was this?
That was the second night that we was there, so it would have been, I guess, I'm gonna say the 11th, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was the second night, so
pretty late in the evening.
It was about 11:30, going on 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
Because I know they were going to the store, and I was like, "Is there going to be something open?" But yeah, it was right at, I think, 11:30.
Okay. Now we've all talked with Greg, and I've talked with Greg a little bit, and out there you don't have to go look for them.
We didn't. Not at Greg's at all, and I mean they were there every night.
Yeah. So what was you guys able to get like vocals and anything like that?
Nope, because what was so weird, if we put recorders or something out, we didn't get anything. I actually set that out early and just left it alone. Let all the lights go off of it, everything. And that's why I told you I had a hard time finding it. I thought I'd lost it at first.
Right.
Because I didn't want anything to know that we had anything laid out. So I kind of hid it behind the refrigerator and just set it there.
Yeah.
I was really surprised, like I said, that it picked it up. But what's so funny is Spencer the whole time was dying to hear something. He missed the tree knocks because he was gone. And then he gets up and goes in the house, and me and Mark and Greg are all sitting out on the porch. Soon as he gets up and walks in and shuts the door, right where I said, over to the right where it was so dark, here comes this yell. And so he missed every bit of it. And we didn't get nothing else after he came back out.
Spencer. Old Spencer. It's funny, I've got a major storm moving in now myself.
Yeah, you're breaking up.
Hell, you might lose me.
That's what
Can
I
you
was
hear
worried
me?
about, losing my power. I can. You're froze up, but I can still hear you.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Hello. Might have
Can you
lost
hear me
her.
now?
Yeah, I've got a bad storm rolling in. I just checked the radar,
Yeah.
and yeah, I've got a horrible, horrible storm moving.
Losing you. Uh-oh. Well, y'all, if something happens and Eric cuts off, thank you guys for joining us tonight. I appreciate y'all watching and hanging out in chat. So I'm waiting on him to come back. Oh, wait. There he is.
What happens when you lose the host?
Tell them bye-bye.
What happens when you lose the host and the guest is left there by himself?
Yep. See you.
Left her all by herself. Oh my God, that's funny.
Gosh.
That's too funny.
We'll make it work. I'm left by myself every Sunday anyway, so Spencer's there, but nobody's really paying attention. So
nobody's listening to him.
Hey, Wanda.
Too funny. That's too funny. Yeah, I'd love to get down in that area. I really would. Greg, even Mark, I'd love to get down in that area. I did see your guys' last show that you did. I did catch a little bit of it, and the videos driving back up in to a certain area. Yeah, that looked badass.
I'm telling you that this one spot that he took us down, and it was really weird, where the tents and stuff were. We were driving back in there, and the whole left side was just full of so much sign. Not hardly anything on the right side when we were coming out, but it I ain't never seen so much sign in a spot in my life. I mean, it was unreal. So it's a promising spot for sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad nothing panned out for Spencer.
Yeah, me too. That's mean. I shouldn't say that.
He deserves every bit of it.
That's right, little asshole.
That's right. It's called karma, Spencer.
Yep.
So, have you ever seen, what people call orbs or anything like that? Have you ever witnessed anything like that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I'll tell you something else about some orbs. I'd love to be able to find the card that these pictures were on. My dad's mom, whenever she passed away, it's strange because we actually were sitting in the living room, and I was taking pictures with just an old style camera. And there were orbs in the living room. Now, like I said, this is after, his mom had passed, and, he was still grieving and upset. And you could talk to, how do I explain this without sounding crazy? I know it's almost so crazy regardless, so it don't matter. You could talk to the orbs and ask for it to literally let me take a picture. I was talking to this thing like it was my grandmother, because I feel like that was her spirit trying to comfort my dad before she left. And I asked her if I could get a final picture of them together. And sure enough, the orb went from being on one side of the room to literally every pit. I'm getting cold chills just talking about it. Every picture that I took, it was in a different spot. And then it was right with my dad a couple of times. And when I took the pictures, and then I never got any more after that. So it in the pictures, they looked almost like an actual bubble. Like, I mean, there's no way this was dust particles. It wasn't like see through, but kind of like looking through a mesh net or something like that. No, this was almost looked like if I had blew a bubble and let it float around and caught all the light in that bubble. It was white and pinkish and just yellow colors coming off of this bubble. And it was too shiny to have been a dust particle. I mean, it was strange.
Right.
And like I said, it would move when I would ask it to let me get a picture with them.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So where are you with mind speak? How do you feel like, if let's just go down that road for a minute. And I know many people, and I don't want to upset anybody that believes it. So if you was to believe it, is it something that you would is it something that you would welcome if you was able to do it?
well, I don't know, because see, and it's not that I don't think that they can't do it, because I know people can do it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't welcome it because I don't want anything in my head. I mean, that's terrifying. It's bad enough, when you feel like you're being watched and stuff already, like is I'm not going to say like stalking you, but you know what I mean?
Right.
I think they feel us as much as we can feel them, like our energy. I don't want them in my head. I'm hoping they can't. So.
Yeah. What got me was actually was Les Stroud.
Yeah.
Les Stroud went from no to okay, there's something out there, to they exist, to now just full blown, all out. They mind speak. I've had conversations with them, and that's listening to him and watching him transform throughout the years of digging into this, and watching him change throughout the whole course of it, and then coming out and speaking about mind speak.
Yeah.
And that he was able to do it. And I was like, wow. Because at that point, prior to that, I was like, that's a bit stretch for me. And then once I heard him talking about it and how he was very adamant, of being able to do it with them, then I was kind of there with you. I was like, I don't know if I would. I don't know if I could handle that.
I think they can, but I'm not. I don't know that they can put anything in your head. They may can, but if you're not open to it, like I think you can block stuff out. I mean, if you practice stuff enough, but
Yeah.
I think they can. Maybe not all of them, but I think they can understand you for sure if you're thinking stuff.
Right.
I mean,
right. And now that's something that I do, and not a lot of people know that. And Kane and I have been doing this for many years. That when we're out, especially when we're like way out somewhere and camping and researching, we'll clear our minds, and we won't speak out loud voice wise. It's all mind. And it's not like trying to talk to each other. It's just talking to the woods.
I do that too. Yeah.
It's just speaking to the woods. And I'll tell you, there's been a few times where we've come back to camp and we've talked about what each one of us was speaking in our mind just prior to something, what we would contribute being interaction with a Bigfoot. And I would tell him where I was at and what I was saying in my mind and just talking, and then he would tell me, and then something would occur, something would happen, So have I ever had something go, "Hey, bud," in my head? No, I haven't. But I'm but if I was to, if something was to like hear, if I was to, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know if I, yeah, no,
Well,
no,
it's funny you say that because I do the same thing. Greg and Mark was kind of not picking at me. Well, Greg was picking at me a little bit, but it's okay because But what it was is I've been trying to see if by like mind speaking to it possibly, or like you said, the woods or whatever, if you could actually get it to respond. I never had, and it could be just coincidence, but Mark Noble was standing right beside of me when we were at Coonbo's this last time. And I don't even know if these guys even know about it, other than Mark and Greg may know, but we were standing at the end of the field and I was getting stuff coming up on me, like to the side of me, to my right. And it would sound like a snake in the grass moving really, really fast. And when I shined the light down and looked, there was nothing there. But I mean, I was looking plumb down on the ground. And so by the time I got the light up off the hill, it knocked on a tree right in front of me. That happened twice. And Mark was standing there. He was like, "You're not standing on the edge no more." He was like, "You get over here and let me stand next to the woods." Well, I would kind of walk off to myself a little bit, just, a few feet in front of him. And actually just, like you said, clear my thoughts and just speak to the woods, to the creatures, whatever is there. I mean, I do that a lot. And when people see me walking off, most of the time, that is what I'm doing. I don't tell nobody that, but
yeah,
you know what I mean? I need to be alone and just in my own head.
I do that quite a bit.
And I actually, it scared me really bad when it came up to the side, because I thought it was a snake or whatever, and moving in the leaves and in the grass. And I jumped back and I cuss and I'm like, oh, and so then I'm like, it's okay. You didn't scare me. It's fine. Could you, do something to, let me know that you're still here or whatever, I mean, just kind of talking to it. Well, I do this when and I come back to Mark and I'm grabbing his arm and I'm like, I think it may have worked. What are you talking about? And I'm like, what I've been doing, like trying to get it to like communicate back with me. And I was like, because I tried a lot, but I never get any responses from it. But like literally as soon as I did that, this thing just like hollered. And like I said, nobody's hearing it back at the fire. We're in two separate groups. Me and Mark's over here. They're over here because we walk off because you can feel their stuff down here and you can hear stuff off in the distance. But I asked this thing to, whatever it is, if I'm not scared and I'm sorry for, acting like I was terrified, and I want you to show me that you're here. I welcome it, for you to make a noise, do a tree knock. Well, I got one. And then, I keep standing there and I'm like, oh, if you did that, that's sweet. That's awesome. Thank you for doing it. I'm not scared. I'm excited. Would you do it? Would you do something again? Well, then I get a call. At that point, I run to Mark, and I'm like a 5-year-old kid in the candy store. I've got his arm, and I'm over here jumping up and down, and I'm like, I think we did it. I think it worked. I was like, I've never had that happen before. Like I said, it could be coincidence, but it was just really strange.
One, maybe two. No, that I have never heard anybody say that. I've never heard anybody say that they've gotten. That's I
was
badass.
Blown away, whether it was coincidence or not. It was strange. So He was like, "Are you serious?" I was like, "Yes, I'm serious," because they seen me out there. Hey, hold on. Eric, Misty thinks out of the box research, and she actually tried sign language. Oh, yeah, I did that also.
I've done sign language.
You know, you never know. I mean, so while while all this was going on, and I'm thinking it in my head, I'm doing the sign language while I'm out there. So maybe it wasn't the you know, speaking to it that way. It could have been the sign language that done it. I don't know, but something worked. That's all I know.
No, that's awesome. That's friggin' badass, really. I mean, like I said, one time and you might be able to write it off, but twice, I mean,
It
I'll
wouldn't do
hang
it
my hat
anymore
on that.
after that. It got bored with me. It was like, I didn't show you, you know, I'm done. I mean, I would still, you know, hear calls and stuff, but it was like after that, it was like it was done with me. So I didn't want to keep antagonizing it or make it feel like I was. So, you know, I just thanked it and, you know, told, because when we got there, I told him, I said, you know, we're friends of Coonbows. We're not here to harm anything, anybody, whatever. We're just curious.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was strange at the least, but they wouldn't come in close to us while we were there, but we could hear them, you know, really far off.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's cool as hell. Honestly, that really is. I remember, well, mine was very simple. Mine was just, it wasn't nothing like that, but just the response, my first response back from me doing, just a loud, hollow clap, you know, and getting a reply back. And this was after
Yeah.
getting knocks throughout the whole day. We were paralleled, had just crazy. And at the end of the day, we're leaving. We're out of the area, actually out. So when we're out of the area, we walk to a big pasture and then drop down and then hit the road. And we got to this pasture and I just turned around to the woods and I just did this loud clap and immediately, bam, you know, reply back. And I just remember that feeling, like you said, that 5-year-old. And I just, it was what I probably looked like. Honestly, I think I looked pretty manly when it happened. But what I probably looked like, turn around to Kane, I was probably like, oh, you know, like you know, that's probably what I really looked like.
He couldn't help but laugh at me. I mean, here we're out there being serious, and I'm over here holding his arm, jumping up and down, and I'm grinning from ear to ear, and he just starts laughing. He was like, "What is it?"
Right, exactly. And I've never lost. I've never lost that feeling.
Yeah,
I've never lost that. You know, as long the years and all the stories and everything, I've never lost that though. From the simplest tree knock to anything, and I'm like, oh,
me too.
you know, I am. I'm like, ooh, we're getting ice cream. Oh.
It's almost what it's like getting it. You're like, oh yeah.
Right. And honestly, I think the day I lose that is the day I'm done. If I lose the excitement out of it to where I hear knocks and I'm like, yeah, it's a knock, you know, and yeah, I'll hang it up. You know, the 1,000th knock should be just as exciting as your very first one.
And you hear them all, you know, and you, when you're out doing this, you know, you hear stuff quite often.
Yeah.
Not every time. I mean, if somebody hears something every time, there's something wrong there. But, you know, I mean, if you know the difference, but it's like when you know something happens, whether it's a call or whatever, I'm like a little 5-year-old kid. I get so excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, I think I peed a little.
Right. Yep, I dribbled. Yep, it happened.
I love it.
So.
And that's what, you know, that's what makes me keep going back, because I am an adrenaline junkie. I love being scared. I like going to, you know, the little things they do for Halloween where people jump out and scare you, and I just love it. Roller coasters, anything that can that can make my heart start pumping and damn just, you know, really
Yep.
get my adrenaline going. I'm in, and this seems to really do that when something good happens.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, I've always been still today. I mean, one thing that I want to happen, I want them in on me. I want to be out deep hammock camping at night, and I want them in on me. I
Mm,
want them to come in on me. I've always wanted that for whatever reason, dumb as hell thinking, whatever, but I've always wanted that type of interaction. And irregardless of what anybody thinks about Todd Standings, I'll I don't care what anybody's thoughts and opinions are. But if you've ever watched a clip where he's on the side of the mountain, on the side of the ridge, and he lights up his flare at night, and he's got them coming past him, and the growling that he's getting in multiple, around him, and they're strategically running by him, whether you think it's fake or not. Just thinking of being in that scenario and having something like that take place, the adrenaline, the terrified, the not knowing what's going to happen, that's I don't know. It's a place that I've never been put in that situation, but I want to be put in that situation. As odd as that sounds, and may sound ignorant and dumb to some, you know, but just I think it's just because of all the years that I've done this, and everything that I've witnessed up to this point and been through up to this point. I need that close interaction. I need to feel it, and yeah, yeah, it's
mm-mm.
just something that
Oh,
I've always.
I don't know. Now, being out like that, hammock camping, just way out in the middle of nowhere, I'm not so sure I want it to happen like that. But like when we were at Daniel Boone and I heard something come up. First night we were there, we had a bear. I knew it was in camp before anybody knew it was in camp. Me and Mark was sitting there. Everybody was done going to bed. I can hear this thing walking around, and you can tell it's not bipedal. It's heavy. And I've heard a lot of bear walk. And I look at Mark and I'm like, we got a bear coming in. And he was like, what? I was like, listen, do you not hear it walking? And I said, it could be a deer, but I'm pretty sure it's a bear. Well, sure enough, Debbie wakes up and she's out here yelling, hey, bear, Misty, you got a bear outside your out behind your tent. Well, the next night, whatever was going on, this was not a bear. Greg and him had done left, and it came through that way from their campsite. But I heard this thing coming, and when it came up and I could hear it smelling like it was looking for something, it was terrifying. I mean, like I was expecting just at any minute to see a shadow looking right over top of my tent. That was close enough for me. We found tracks the next morning back there, 2 different sets. And there's nobody would have been, back through there barefooted. You seen it was rough to get down through there anyways. I mean, and I tracked it all the way from past Greg's coming in the exact way that I heard it. And we tracked it going down the creek. Exactly like I said, I heard it happen when we went back and looked. It had came in from past the road area, and it came up to my tent. It's like it got mad and turned around and walked off when it realized I was still awake, and it could hear me like rummaging. I was looking for my flashlight and couldn't find it. Normally I have everything right there with me, but it was so cold and I had been throwing stuff around trying to get dressed and get extra blankets. And I heard it go straight to Debbie and Larry's tent. And that's exactly the way the tracks went whenever we got to looking the next morning. So that was close enough for me. I mean, I want to hear them close, but I was by myself in the tent. Mark was sleeping in his truck that he's got fixed up. He was snoring, just sawing logs. He would have never heard me yelling.
He'll miss it all. When we're out camping like that, he's tucked away in his hammock, just snoring his ass off. He'll miss it all, every bit of it, every bit of it. The closest I know that I've been, the closest that I know I've been is roughly 30 feet.
Oof.
And Kane and I were very fortunate enough to be able to call one in and listen to him through the interaction of calling back and forth to each other, hearing him travel and coming towards us. And I climbed in my hammock. He's in his hammock. We did not have a fire at all that night. And I would say less than 40 yards above us is the loudest tree knock. I mean, just a bash. And then it was maybe 15, 20 seconds go by, and this thing walks right past us. And it was, and you can tell, you know bipedal sound, you know walking, bear, deer, dog, you know the animals. And when this thing was heavy footed, walking right past us, it had no clue we were there. It had no idea that we were there. And that's what me started. I really started thinking nocturnal, and how well can they truly see at night? I know they can see because they travel at night. They travel through the woods, so they can see. But to be that close, I have a hard time believing that it walked past us that close to us and didn't acknowledge us at all. Didn't do something. You know what I mean? To really scare us, or
Yeah.
or to get us to make some sort of reaction to it. But that's I believe that's the closest I've ever been to one, is about 30 feet. And yeah, so I know exactly what you're talking about. And to have something like that, and it's full adrenaline.
Oh yeah.
It's full It's full on adrenaline. And what's worse is I'd gotten food poisoning. I was laying in my hammock sick as a dog.
Man.
I'd ate before I came. I went, and this was at Kane's place. This was up on the ridge behind his cabin where this took place. And yeah, I was in bad shape. And I'm laying there and he's out like a light, you know. I'm laying there swaying back and forth in my hammock, trying not to throw up. And then bam, we get this loud bash. And then this thing walks right past us. And I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. You
I'd
know,
have puked everywhere. My stomach would have been in knots.
yeah, it was unreal. But to have something like that happen, if nobody's been in that situation or had something come up that close to them, it's an adrenaline rush that you can't really explain.
Yeah. It's scary. I don't care who you are. If you say you don't get, and I ain't saying that it ain't fun, because I enjoy it, but
Yeah,
when you're in the moment, it's scary.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like you get a little bit of like, or I do anyways, like holy shit, I'm about to get eaten. This thing is going to grab my tent, me in it, and it's going to take off, and I'm going to be like a little burrito and out of here. And that's what
yeah.
worries me, because I always camp by myself when we go out and do this. So I
Right.
don't know if you guys do too, but I'm telling you, these things are perverts. They like this. They like women. I ain't kidding. Well, okay. For instance, I had my tent open while we were there. If you may remember me talking about this, how many times did we hear owl calls through the day?
Mm-hmm.
And me or Debbie one would be in the tent where the woods was back behind us, and I had the flap open because during the day it was warm, at night it was cold. I'd be changing clothes, and you'd start hearing owl calls. The perverts.
Yeah.
They're watching all the time.
Perched up on a rock right behind you.
Yeah, I'm telling you. I mean, you don't hear owl calls through the day. I mean, what's the chances of that just randomly?
Right. No, you don't. So what about shit, I had it and I might have lost it. Squirrel. Let's go. That's one thing I wanted. So we've talked about the Nephilim, we've talked about giants, we've talked about the mind speak and all that. And so where are you? Because there's a lot of people that also believe UFO, and they go, there's that portion of it too, where these creatures are not from here and they're from somewhere else. Have you ever had any type of what you would feel to be like any type of UFO sighting, anything like that?
Not. Well, I mean, I've seen some weird stuff in the sky, but like nothing that I would say, oh, that's for sure a UFO. Like when I was younger, me and the neighbor was laying out on the trampoline, a girlfriend of mine, we was probably, I don't know, I was probably about 13, 14-year-old. We didn't think nothing of it. Here we're laying and just kind of looking, and there was trees that just kind of done like this as they come together. It just made like a little gap. Well, there was just something just floating there. And for the longest time, we just laid there looking at it. And we finally get up after, so many minutes, and we go in the house and we're like, Mom, there's something out here weird. There's a UFO. And she's like, oh, you are crazy. We're like, no, seriously, there's something out here. Well, we go back and it's not there, but it hadn't moved or whatever, but it was so far away. You couldn't tell what it was. You could just see it was shaped weird, like almost like a Tic Tac, what everybody describes. But other than like seeing like strange lights or anything like that, I've never seen nothing like that. But like I said, we did see that, and it was weird because it wasn't even moving. We came back from hunting one day. This has been probably about 3 or 4 years ago, and I took pictures of something weird coming down the interstate. The pictures didn't take real good because where we were driving, but it was either one of those daggum spy balloons or something weird floating. But I did get some pictures of it.
What about like sounds that you just can't explain, that don't sound like known animal, non-human, even non-bipedal, this subject? Have you ever heard any type of just you can't explain what that sound was at all?
Okay, I was about to freak the hell out. Your door just opened. Is there somebody behind you? There had to have been somebody walked in the room.
I'm here by myself.
Bullshit, your door just opened.
Really?
And then it glitched. I'm not kidding.
Nah, yeah, I'm here by myself.
Well, your door just opened and closed back, just so you know.
Really? Yeah, the dog didn't even. Hank would freak out if somebody came in. I'd hear him going batshit crazy.
Y'all, did anybody else see that? I mean, I know you glitched for a second, but tell me somebody else just seen something in the door frame back there. You're going to have to go back and rewatch this, Eric. I'm telling you, there was something there. I'm not kidding, and I'm not crazy. I lost my train of thought now. Good Lord. Donna's seen it. Look, she said yes.
Donna saw it. Well,
saw it.
Find out.
David. All right. See? Thank y'all. I ain't crazy. But okay, where was I at? That like really tripped me out for a second.
Sounds in the woods, like,
oh yes. Okay, get this. That's another thing that I heard at Greg's, and I've never heard it before. You know how people, it's so just weird when somebody says, "Oh, you know, like the movie Alien, or whatever, Predator, whichever one it is that does that clicking, that real weird noise."
Yeah.
I've never heard that before, but now I'm going to tell you right now, I heard that at Greg's, and it was weird, and I heard it 2 or 3 different times within just probably about 5 minutes of each other, and it was strange. I've never heard that before, but it was identical to what people describe, and you think, well, there's no way you're hearing something like. No, I did, and so the other people that's saying that they've heard it, I'm sure has probably heard it too. It was nothing like I had ever heard before.
Really? Whoa, what happened there? That was odd.
You're glitching. See, look, watching us.
Yeah.
They even came to your house.
We've captured a couple we've captured a couple weird things. We can't explain what it is, what it was. So yeah, I was curious to see if you or any of you guys, when you've been out have heard anything like, just, I don't know, where it just leaves you like, I have no idea.
Yeah, well, that's probably the weirdest thing I've ever heard that, I didn't think was something that we were out there looking for. I mean, I'm not saying that it wasn't that, but I've never heard it make that noise before, not around where we researched. So
yeah. Well, guys, we're heading to an hour and a half on this, and we gotta start closing out on this. And actually, there's so much more that I want to talk about, and yeah, we're gonna have to do this again because this was fun.
It was, and we'll have to get Sherry on. She said I saw a UFO about 50 foot above my head. So.
Really? Yeah, definitely. I'd have both of you guys on here. So, because I've got all kinds of questions for you guys. For both of you, I do. I am.
You heard a lot that you had never heard before today, huh? So, look,
no,
heard it first on Eric's show.
Yeah, so we will. I definitely want to have you back on. I definitely want to have Sherry on here with you. So we'll definitely make that happen.
I appreciate you asking me to come on. I mean, most people don't want to hear me talking.
Oh no, that's Spencer. Hell with Spencer. Damn it, little man, little friggin' hobbit. I love him.
Baby Huey.
Baby Huey.
Yeah, I took him a backpack while we was there. I told him I'd carry if he wanted me to.
I'm gonna buy one. I'm gonna buy one just just to have it. So, anyways, Misty, thank you very much. I truly enjoyed it, and I will definitely going to have you and Sherry on here. So, but once again, thanks for coming.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys.
All righty. All right, guys. I appreciate everybody that showed up here. I truly do. It means a lot, and I want to jump on something real quick. I'm not getting anything for this or anything like that. So, but I just want to raise awareness. This is something that we all know about. We know it's happening around the world, not just here, and that's human trafficking. It's child trafficking. If you haven't seen Sound of Freedom, I urge you to go see it, go watch it. It's a disease. It's a disease that's here in this world, and it has to stop. And the only way that we can do it is raise awareness and keep talking about it and push on it and push on it and push on it. So once again, If you guys haven't seen Sound of Freedom, I urge you to go see it. The gentleman that the movie is about, if you go out and you look at Operation Underground Railroad, go to that website. You'll see what he's all about. You can give donations there, whatever. I have, and it's something that we need to stop in this world, especially with anybody that's caught up in it, but more so children. And there's one quote in that movie. The guy that is portraying Tim, the actual agent, he is asked, why is he doing this? And he says, because God's children aren't for sale. And it's exactly right. So it's something that we need to stop. So anyways, I thank everybody for being on here tonight and watching, and I loved it. We had a great time. Thanks once again, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.